The fifth India-U.S. 2+2 Ministerial Dialogue will be held today in New Delhi shortly. Now, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken and Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin will meet External Affairs Minister S Jaishankar and Defense Minister Rajnath Singh today. Now, this meeting is an important strategic dialogue allowing both nations to engage in extensive discussions on a variety of bilateral, regional and global issues. Now, key topics expected to be addressed include enhancing defense cooperation, formulating strategies for the Indo-Pacific region and tackling global security challenges, and also promoting economic and technological collaboration between the two nations. And India-Canada diplomatic row and Israel-Hamas conflict may also find a place in this meeting. Now, let us walk you through what is on the agenda of this 2+2 dialogue between India and the US. Now, security challenges in Indo-Pacific. So, now this is going to be discussed in this meeting, and the growing assertiveness of China is also on the agenda of this 2+2 dialogue, and Israel, Hamas and Ukraine-Russia war. Now, remember, these ongoing wars are also on the agenda of this dialogue, and futuristic roadmap for the India-US ties. So this is also going to be a key focus of this meeting. In fact, defense and security cooperation will also be discussed in this 2+2 dialogue. Technology, value and chain collaborations will also be discussed between the two nations, and joint development of defense equipment is also one of the key topics to be discussed. In fact, discussion on Canada-Khalistan issue is also on the cards, which will be discussed in the 2+2 dialogue that is slated to take place today. So these are the key focus of the meeting, which will be held today between India and US. Now, CNN News 18's Abhishek Jha is joining us live on this story to give us more details on this. Abhishek, at what time can we expect this meeting to start?
Well, I'm standing just outside the Sushma Swaraj Bhavan, where this meeting is going to start about 1 hour from now, about around 10 a.m. Both the ministers from USA, Antony Lloyd and Secretary Blinken, will be joined by Indian counterparts S Jaishankar and Defense Minister Rajnath Singh, where the four of them will discuss about the entire gamut of India-US bilateral relationship, and that will range from key regional and global issues right now, from there to also the defense collaboration that India and US have been working around, and also the new and critical emerging technologies, semiconductor and issues that those were discussed between Prime Minister Modi and President Biden earlier this year when Prime Minister Modi was a guest at White House.
All right, Abhishek, please stay with us. Now, as India and United States kick off the 2+2 security dialogue, CNN News 18's Zaka Jacob spoke with former US envoy to India Atul Keshup on the global security situation from the Israel-Hamas war, Russia-Ukraine war, the role of China and the challenges before Indo-US security ties. Listen in.
And I want to get a final word. You did talk about the 2+2, while the bilateral between Delhi and Washington is perhaps in the best of health in the last 20 years. Whether it's on the defense side, critical emerging technologies, you name it, space technology. There was a very successful state visit a few months ago. What is a bit of a concern, if you will, is when it comes to multilateral issues. On the Russia-Ukraine war, the Indian position was slightly more nuanced, slightly different from the position taken by the US. Even on the current Israel-Hamas war, while Prime Minister Modi, within the first few hours of the attack on October 7th, came in and unequivocally supported Israel, and said that we're siding with the victims of terrorism, India has had to sort of walk back to its traditional position about, yes, we believe in the Palestinian cause, and yes, we believe in a two-state solution, and so on and so forth. Do you see that, the difference in nuance when it comes to multilateral issues, sort of affecting the relationship?
I actually agree with you that our bilateral relations between Delhi and Washington are as good as I've ever seen them in my life. And I think that is because not only of the natural affinity between our people and now our governments, and the trust that we have since the pandemic, the rather significantly reinforced trust that we have since the pandemic and all of the terrible lessons that the pandemic taught us, but also because of rising concern about where the world is going, right? So there may be some areas of disagreement, but really the need we have for one another is going to transcend those. And I think that both governments have proven themselves very adroit over the past 2-3 years in sidestepping problems before they become real issues in the relationship, either by finding mutual understanding or mutual accommodation, or even, as very mature partners do, sometimes agreeing to disagree.
Abhishek, now coming back to you, how significant is this meeting between India and US that is slated to take place today?
Well, in a context of what is happening around the world, we have seen in the last 1 month the entire situation in Middle East has changed, where Israel has started its counteroffensive. About 2 million people in Gaza, they are also in wait of humanitarian aid and assistance coming from the world over, which is waiting at the Rafah border at Egypt, and because the scrutiny and multiple checking points, those aids are also not being accessed by these people who are in dire need of them. That is one part of the problem. First, on 7th of October, what happened in Israel because of the Hamas militant, that is another issue where India has very firmly stood with Israel, condemning all sort of terrorism in all its form and manifestation. And this is what India's stance has been at the United Nations vote also, where India did not vote on the resolution. It wanted that not only ceasefire is something that is needed and the hostilities should end, but at the same time the condemnation of Hamas is something that is also needed to be done. Remember, Hamas is not a terrorist organization officially declared by the Indian government, and with the changing scenario, one can hope that things will move in some way where India will take a very firm stand on the terrorist activities coming from any individual or any organization, and not in the name of freedom of speech or activism. It will not be allowed. So this is what India's position has been. Other aspects are clearly the tension that has been going on in the Indo-Pacific and in the Taiwan Strait because of the Chinese aggression towards Taiwanese side, and how the entire scenario can be a security challenge for India. We know that India, USA, Japan and Australia, they also have a quad grouping that also discusses issues of regional security and cooperation in terms of economy and trade also. But that having said that, India-US bilateral relationship is also something going to be deeply delved upon by the four leaders right now here. And we have seen Prime Minister Modi's meeting that has happened with President Biden. They discuss all sort of new avenues also where India and USA can cooperate, and that range from cyberspace to space, technology, semiconductor, climate change, and issues like pluralistic society and democracy. These are also issues that India and USA do share, and they do discuss once in a while.
Also, Abhishek, joint development of defense equipments is also one of the key topics that will be discussed today. Could you throw some light on that?
Well, we have seen during the Prime Minister's visit in USA, there was a deal of jet engines that would be made in India. So like about 80 to 90% of that engine will be made in India. That was a huge shift from USA selling its equipment and military hardware to India, from there to making in collaboration with Indian companies in India. And that is where the indigenous approach or the Make in India approach of government got re-boost. And apart from that, there are other critical technologies sector also like semiconductor, where US companies have assured that they will not only train Indian people and make them more skilled in that sector, but also they will invest in certain companies where the entire, the entire semiconductor chain will have a certain, portion that will be made and manufactured or contributed from the Indian side. Apart from that, there are other areas of renewable energy also where the two sides are collaborating. We know that renewable energy needs to be, de-hyphened from China, because China still holds a lot of weight in when it comes to having renewable energy sources, those minerals which are required to create those renewable energy assets, and the technology also is very much in Chinese control. But apart from that, how India and US can collaborate and discover new areas and where these technologies can be cooperated, how can India help in scaling up those technologies where the entire crisis that world is facing in terms of energy shortage could be redressed. That is one part of it. But apart from that, the security situation and the conflict situation around the world is something also that is going to be key focus in the agenda between among the four ministers who will be discussing entire bilateral issues of India and USA. Few minutes from here.
All right, Abhishek, thank you so much for getting us all those details. We'll keep coming back to you for more updates on this story. As of now, ahead of the 2+2 dialogue, the US has released a fact sheet. Let's walk you through the key points of the fact sheet. So first of all, it mentions that US supports India's emergence as global power. So this is the key point that is mentioned in the fact sheet released by the United States ahead of the meeting. Key partner in promoting peaceful Indo-Pacific. So US says that it's a key partner of India in promoting Indo-Pacific, and these are the live visuals we're showing on your screens right now from the 2+2 dialogue that is going to start shortly. You can see Antony Blinken and S Jaishankar in the latest visuals that we're getting you live from New Delhi, and we have CNN News 18's Abhishek Jha with us. Abhishek, so the meeting is going to start anytime from now.
I think it's further evidence of our resolute focus.
Well, 10 a.m. that is the scheduled meeting when all the ministers will be meeting at Sushma Swaraj Bhavan. The opening statements from both the sides will be open to media, but beyond that, the discussions will be a closed-door discussion where the sensitive aspect of the bilateral relationship will also be discussed. We have seen India and USA been engaging on various issues of importance that includes, the recent visa issues that the Indian side wanted USA to expedite, and we have seen a lot of it has happened also, and many visa issues, the pendency of visa issues has been addressed well. The issue of Canada-India bilateral relationship that has gone down the hill in the recent weeks, that is also one of the aspects that could be discussed because apparently USA had shared those intelligences on which based on which Canadian Prime Minister has alleged Indian agencies' role in killing of Hardeep Singh Nijjar, and since then we have seen a lot of stuff happening between the India and Canadian bilateral relationship, which should not be seen as something positive or healthy. About 40 of Canadian diplomats had to go back to Canada because of India's demand in rank and in parity in rank and strength. So that is one aspect because of US-Canada close relationship and US-India close relationship. That is something that will also be referred.
This visit of yours, I think, has a particular significance because one, we need to follow up on the Prime Minister's June visit and the President's coming here in September. So there's a lot of bilateral stuff we need to do. And two, of course, this is the 2+2, so we take a broader view of what we're doing. And then, of course, as Quad members, there's the Indo-Pacific that we're focusing on. And finally, we look at global regional issues, and I think what's happening in West Asia, Middle East, to you folks. That I think is a very big concern right now. I look forward to discussing those and other matters with you. Once again, a very warm welcome.
Thank you, Jai, very much. It's always wonderful to be in India. We're building on a rather remarkable year of engagement, and I think it's just evidence of the fact that we have not only the strongest bilateral partnership we've ever had, but also a regional one and indeed a global one. And that was further evidenced by India's leadership of the G20. This year. As Jai said, we have a lot to do, including with our defense colleagues. So I'm very much looking forward to that. And I think it's further evidence of our resolute focus from the United States on the Indo-Pacific, our region for the future. And the future is actually now. And we're building it now, and we're building it together with India. So I look very much forward to good conversations. Very good to be back. Thank you.
Let me just add one last word. I think we had a very successful G20 summit in September. And I do want to thank you, the US government and President Biden on behalf of Prime Minister, because I think without the strong support which the US gave us, I don't think we would have got the consensus and the outcomes that we did. So I think it's important I mention that.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
All right, Abhishek, coming back to you, we just heard the opening address by US Secretary of State Antony Blinken and External Affairs Minister S Jaishankar. Now, S Jaishankar talked about this, the G20 event being a success, and he also thanked the United States for its support, Abhishek.
Well, G20 was truly a moment of India's emergence at the global stage as a leader, because in the so divided times when, because the Ukraine conflict, because Israel-Hamas conflict was not at that time, because of the Ukraine conflict and its after effects on the entire Europe, there was a very sharp division between the two sides. One was led by USA and the Western blocs. Other was, of course, by Russia and China axis. And India was in the middle of it, and it wanted G20 to be successful. And the joint declaration was something that India achieved, keeping aside the differences and bringing together all the differing sides, for the larger cause, larger good of the world. And this is a leadership position that Prime Minister had taken. And since then, of course, India-US's cooperation was something that also was appreciated by Prime Minister Modi. In fact, he in his side appreciated effort by the Chinese side also in bringing out the joint declaration. So that was a moment when India truly was able to bring together the differing side around the world to a common purpose, common goal. And because of the successful G20, that is something that External Affairs Minister has tried to highlight. And taking cue from there, India is looking ahead for a better and larger role in other issues of global and regional importance also, and that includes the ongoing Hamas and Israel conflict, wherein Prime Minister has been engaged with almost all of the regional leaders. He has had conversation with leadership from Iran, UAE, Jordan, Prime Minister Netanyahu also, President Mahmoud Abbas from Palestine also. So India is engaging on a lot of other issues of importance that will have repercussions for India's economy, India's security challenges, India's own national interest as well. And this is probably the sense that this meeting will also have, and Jaishankar will be meeting Secretary Blinken during a small bilateral talks before the meeting of the four ministers will start.
All right, Abhishek, also United States has released a fact sheet ahead of the meeting which says that US supports India's emergence as leading global power.
Well, talking about bilaterally, if we say India and USA bilateral trade is about 113 billion. That is one of the biggest that India is having with any partner country. So that is a reason that two countries are also coming together. India provides USA with a huge market, a capacity, a scaled up capacity where US companies can also come invest, and they can be assured of their return, and they can be, assured of those sensitive technologies or those manufacturing capabilities of being in safe hands, or at least at a place where they can not be as resistant as they have been with China, because of the US-China differences happening in the recent last 3-4 years. A lot of US investment and manufacturing capacity is shifting away from China, and India is looking at that portion, or that we have seen in many Indian companies recently inviting or attracting US investment, and Indian government has also tried to bring more ease of business so that more investment could come. That is one aspect of the bilateral relationship. Defense, where India is needing a lot of new armaments, and there is US and West keenness of engaging India more on defense partnership, because they want India to be a reliable and long-term partner. For that, they need to ensure that India shifts its entire military hardware base away from Soviet era and to new Western technologies. For that, it will need a few decades before India could apparently do that. But right now, that is one of the area that where USA and other Western countries are focusing to having more defense collaboration, where India can be shifted on such defense and military hardware, where the interoperability of these two sides could be ensured, where when the common areas of concerns, like basically in South China Sea and Indo-Pacific, if the two countries or the two sides have to monitor or do surveillance in that region, these equipments or the mutual trust or mutual engagements could be done there.
All right, Abhishek, thank you so much for those details. We'll keep coming back to you for more updates on the story. As of now, we're slipping into a very short break. We'll be right back.
Hello, Moto. Hello, Moto.